Hey everybody, I'm William,
And I'm Kina.
and we are the Nerdy Weds. We're doing a video on the movies that we watched for a Halloween horror movie marathon. We watched 9 movies.
Yeah, we watched them all, and I was surprised that you stayed awake.
I wasn't surprised you fell asleep twice.
I fell asleep once that you know of, and I didn't miss anything because you wouldn't let me
She
sleep.
dimed herself out for the first time. I caught her the second time, but I didn't see her the first time because she didn't do like she did the second time. The first time, apparently, she just closed her eyes and went to sleep for a few minutes. The second time she actually rolled over to get herself comfortable, no longer facing the screen. I look over at her, I'm like, she's not even trying to hide it.
Yeah,
I'm just resting my
I
eyes.
was. I was just resting my eyes. And I think most of the people watching this, they understand that. They do it too. Then a few minutes doesn't even count because I didn't really miss anything. But the first movie we watched was Stories We Tell in the Dark. And I like the way that we did the order of the movies because it made for it to have a really good flow. We had some heavy movies with the more comedic, more light movies thrown in between.
Yeah.
And so, Stories We Tell in the Dark, we figured from the trailer that it was going to be a more traditionally scary movie, although it really didn't scare me. I don't know about you.
No, it really didn't. I don't think any of the movies on this list really scared me, but they were all pretty good in their own right. There were some that were better than others, and this one was really good. I would watch this one again. I took the pretty well done, well established trope of the urban legend and gave a different twist to it that kind of freshened it up a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Took the kind of Bloody Mary, Candyman kind of thing and made something new with it a little bit.
They
Was,
did, but the whole urban legend, mythos part of it, I really didn't connect with that at all. I thought it was pretty bland. The character, I can't even remember her name. Was it Sarah? Every
yeah,
time I
Sarah.
can't remember, okay, because every time I can't remember someone's name, I've noticed lately, I will say, maybe it was Sarah, but actually it was right this time. But I just really didn't connect with her backstory, even though it was interesting, but not that interesting.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to do these urban legends. They tend to do a lot of exposition to get, and that's not a great way to establish a legend like that.
Right.
And that's what they did in this. They kind of fell into that, telling us that this is a thing, not showing
Not
us
showing us.
that there's a thing.
Because
And
the
they did bad on that side, but the rest of it I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, they did. They could have upped that a lot more. And maybe if they actually do a sequel, they'll improve on that.
Yeah.
But with the characters that were in the story, I did like those characters. I thought they did a decent job with that.
Yeah.
And like you, I wouldn't be opposed to watching it again. I wouldn't go looking to watch it. But if someone came over and they were like, hey, I haven't seen this movie, you cool with watching it? I would be.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wouldn't be opposed to
That's my
watching
level
the
of
sequel.
interest in it again.
Yeah, I won't go looking for it, but if it's there, I wouldn't turn from it. Same thing with the sequel.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So,
the next one, or you
go
have
ahead.
more?
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Okay.
the next
Because
one.
I know you were saying we're not going to go too in deep in these different recaps, reviews, because we're going to expand on the podcast, right?
Yeah, the ones that we feel like they deserve a review, we're going to do a review of. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to The Craft Legacy. And this was one that I didn't have that much hopes for. And I feel like my initial impression that it's going to be like the CW version of The Craft and it's basically for this generation. That's exactly the feel I got from watching it. It wasn't really for me. So I didn't find the characters that compelling. And it's not something that I would watch again. I didn't think it was horrible. If it was on the TV, maybe it's on the channel, I'd watch it just
I
to
would,
see
I
if
would,
I missed something the first time. But again, I won't go looking for it.
no, this is definitely one of the few on the list that if it was on the channel, I would try to find something else to watch, and would come back to it only when I've exhausted all other options. It wasn't a bad movie. It just I felt like their narrative was too external and not internal. Like the original, it was the girls, their narrative with each other, and it was compelling. They had a great story, great characters. This lacked any of that. Uh,
The thing that was disappointing is that they did go in a different direction, but not too far in a different direction where you felt like they were being distrue, if that's even a word, to the original. And they did pay homage to the original, and I appreciated that. But I felt like they did not give me a full, complete story that made sense. There were some holes in the story. So that is something that we definitely have to talk more about on the podcast, because I have a lot of things I want to say about
I've got
this
one more parting shot at this one. It was another one of those movies that had a trailer that gave away a major point, and it was horrible because you just sat there the entire movie waiting for it to happen, and it didn't happen the way it happened in the trailer. And it's like, why did you even need to tell us that?
Exactly, because when it was over, I asked him about this particular part that we saw in the trailer. And it's in the trailer, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, because if they're watching us, they should have already watched the trailer. And in the trailer, they show her opening a book, and there's a picture of Nancy. So you start to think of all these different ways of how they could be connected. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but anyway.
Any more than the trailer already spoiled the damn movie.
Right. And I would say you pretty much called it, and I'll leave it at that. But after it was over, I was like, did I miss it? Did I miss where they showed her looking at a picture of Nancy? And I did not miss it. They did not show that. So I'm like, why did they even have that in the trailer? Was that obviously was some type of editing mess up? But it, like you said, it totally gave too much away. It really did. So is that the parting shot for?
That's the parting shot for that movie.
Okay, but we've got more to say. I know I do. And so it will be on the podcast. Once we air the record and air that episode, we will put it in the comments so you guys can check it out, because I'd love to know your opinions on it and see if you guys agree or disagree with us. So the next one was Vampires versus the Bronx.
This was a good movie. It was campy. It was a lot more serious than I initially thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a very funny. It had a lot of comedic elements. A lot of comedic things happened in the movie, but it was a lot more serious.
Yeah.
It took itself a lot more seriously than the name would suggest, and it was still campy. It was still a good time.
Yeah, I think it had a good blend of the seriousness and the campiness, and this is one I definitely will watch again.
Oh, definitely.
Because I want to see if there was some things that I missed the first go round. I loved how it can have you jumping 1 minute but then laughing the next. But it was never anything that was that scary. So it's definitely something everyone in the family can watch and love. And whether you like horror or you don't really get down with that scary stuff, you can still watch it and have a good time. So this is a good one.
I felt like it was campy enough to be fun, but not disrespect itself.
Right.
It always kept the plot and the fact that it was a horror movie wrapped in goofy, very serious. It was. I thought it was very good. I thought they did a good job with it.
Yeah, they did. So the next one is Escape Room, and this was the one that I was most excited about watching. So it had a big opportunity to not live up to the hype that I built up in my head. But I have to say, it
was
lived
really
up to
good.
It was good, because you said that there's nothing on this list that truly scared you. And I have to agree with that, if I'm being honest. But if there was any movie that came close, it was Escape Room. Simply because they set some environments that you could see yourself, if you were in it, I could see myself being really scared. Was I scared? No. But it was really interesting to watch, because you felt like the characters were in danger, and then you're like, how are they are going to get out of this?
Yeah.
And there was some moments where you did have to suspend disbelief, but because overall it was so good, it was easy to overlook those moments.
The characters were compelling. They had backstories. Each one of them had a little bit of their backstory touched on different points within the movie. There was an element of kind of we're giving away some things, but it didn't spoil anything, and it didn't play out the way even we expected it to. So that was great. The trailer kind of, or not even just the trailer, but the backstories kind of made us believe one thing was going to happen.
Yes.
And it didn't happen that way. And we were both like, that's awesome. That's great. Because, we got to watch this movie and actually enjoy just the spectacle and not be like, okay, what's going to happen next? What do you think's going to happen next? The trailer showed this or this, or their backstories were done in this particular way, which told us these characters are going to be the ones that survive.
Yes.
Wait, no, that isn't the way it happened. So, yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, I like the word you use, spectacle, because that was a good word for it. And this is, again, one that I will watch again at some point, because there's going to be a sequel next year, and I'm watching it. And I hope the sequel lives up to this original. The way they ended it, to be honest, I don't know. I'm a little hesitant, but I'm still going to watch it.
I think they're going to have to bring new characters in, and it would be interesting to see if the old characters could survive the situation they're being put in, the characters, whoever they are. But one other thing, we talked about Saw a lot, how this was cooperative Saw. One other thing was it kind of brought, what was, I had it in my head just a moment ago. It was Cabin in the Woods. It had a very Cabin in the Woods kind of feel to it as well.
Yeah.
So this is definitely one I would watch again, and I plan on watching again.
Okay.
The first one on the list, I plan on watching again.
Yes. So the second one for me, because I plan on watching Vampire versus the Bronx again.
Yeah, I would watch Vampire versus the Bronx again, and it's unlike the Craft. Vampire in the Woods or Vampires versus the Bronx.
I want to see that.
I would actually, if I turned on a channel and that movie was playing, I would stop and watch it. So.
Okay.
And we're going to move on to the next movie on our list, which looks like is Antebellum.
Oh, and with Antebellum, I love that it surprised us, because we both thought it was a rip-off of this book that I have called The Kindred, and it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
And I don't want to talk about this movie too much, because it was really good, and you should watch it. But we are not going to give anything away on this one. So,
other than what we've just said.
It is worth watching. I don't necessarily see myself watching it a second time. It didn't feel like that kind of movie, but it was really good.
It's worth a watch. It's worth a watch. But I also don't see myself watching it again. I thought the acting was really good with a movie like this with the main character. She pretty much carries the movie.
Oh, she completely carries the entire movie.
Yeah, so it's like the final girl trope on its head, turned on its head.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it, but not enough where I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
But definitely, I'm not disappointed that I watched it, and I do feel it is worth a watch at least once. So that's all I've got to say about it.
My whole thing with not watching it again wasn't because of some disgusting element within it. It was just because it was a great movie, and I don't feel like I need to really get to know it like I would a movie I really want to watch over and over again. So it was really good, really well done. The main actress, what's her name?
Janelle Monáe.
Janelle Monáe carried the movie, and it was awesome. She's beautiful, and it was really good.
Okay. Witches.
This was when we took a break, kind of. After Antebellum and Escape Room, we kind of needed a break, and we sprinkled in some comedic movies, and Vampire vs. the Bronx had a lot of funny elements, but it really didn't tickle that just funny, goofy, irreverent part of what we needed. And this is a great way to decompress with The Witches. It was the remake of The Witches, and I thought it was really good. I thought it was
It
funny.
was a cute movie.
Yeah.
It's not my kind of movie. It's one that I also would not watch again, but it is worth watching once. And the difference between, say, this one where I say I don't want to watch it again versus Antebellum where I say I wouldn't watch it again is that with this one, it is one where it's just not one that really was compelling for me.
Yeah.
Whereas with Antebellum, there was a lot there that made me think. There was a lot there that there was a lot to it that I really appreciated, but it was it hit a lot of the right notes. But I don't need to hear it again. You know, I got what I needed out of it. With this one, I can say that it's a good movie. I can say that a lot of people will love it, but it's just not. I'm not one of those people, and it's not because of the movie itself. It's because of me and what I appreciate, and this is not one that I appreciate. I want to see the original and see if I still feel the same way, and if it's just a matter of it was a little too cutesy for me, because I'm thinking that might have been the issue for me.
Yeah, I enjoyed the cutesiness of it. I'm a goofy kind of guy, and but it's not like some of the other movies in this kind of cutesy child horror kind of thing. Like, what was it, Nightmare Before Christmas, and some other movies that have been designed to be kind of children's movies with horror elements. This is definitely not one that's on the list of ones I want to watch as part of a traditional Halloween kind of thing. So,
No,
yeah,
no.
it was
Same,
a pretty much a one and done for me.
Yeah, I agree. So the next one is Bad Hair.
Bad Hair. It was interesting.
It was interesting, and I think you're pausing to see what I'm gonna say. But I went first no, I don't know if I went first, but I want to see what you're gonna say. I want to see what you're gonna say.
It was good. It was weird. Was it worth watching? Yeah. It's not like a movie that I have any desire to revisit. It was okay. It was good.
It's one that I don't have any desire to revisit. The ending was very confusing for me.
Yeah.
And it left me like, is that really how they want it to end? Is that really where they want to go with this? Why? It just had me questioning that. It just had me questioning it. I don't know what else to say. But it was one that I had fun watching it because it had a lot of funny moments, and I was dancing to the music. I like the music in it. And I could tell that this is supposed to be a late 80s type of thing, because the whole theme around the movie with the bad hair and the natural hair versus hair weave, I think that is definitely was a big issue during those times. It still is now, but not in the way that this movie kind of portrayed it, but it is still a hot topic. But it's just, it was weird. Is not the word I want to use. It's just one of the word that I want to use. I'm not really sure. I'm like grasping here. It just was.
Now, there were a few things.
I don't know, because it just was like, it was trying to have, I felt like it was trying to have like some social commentary.
It was trying,
But
I guess.
I don't know if I can get behind the commentary that it was trying to have without knowing really what they were trying to have. You know what I mean? And that's probably it was confusing on a lot of levels to me, because I'm like, okay, is it saying, we've got the evil hair weave, and, is that bad
think-
versus the natural hair is better. And it's like, it just really should be the woman's choice. And I think there was a moment in there where they said that, but yeah.
Well, then the one lady's like, heck no, I ain't going to her. I can go to this other place to get it for a tenth of the
Yeah,
price.
and that's why I was like, exactly. I'm like, I'm right there with you, girl. But I'm just like, it's hair, and it's
I liked some elements within it. The wardrobe was, they kept everything within that late 80s, early 90s time frame, the vehicles and everything. But one thing they did that I really appreciated, once I got used to it, was the fact they filmed it to look like it was filmed in the late 80s.
Yeah.
With the VHS quality film and the filters they used made it look like it was filmed back in the day. And I appreciate it. That was good.
I liked it. I think it's definitely worth a watch for anybody, but especially black women. And I think black women, we need to discuss it. Like, I want to know what other black women have to say about it. Not, I don't know if that's going to piss people off, me saying that. I really don't. I don't know. But I just feel like that is something I would love to know what other black women think about this movie. So that's my opinion.
So if you're another black woman out there, hit Keena up and tell her what you thought of the movie.
Yes.
Check it out. Watch it. Let her know what you think.
Yeah, because I've had some bad hair weaves that felt like they might try to kill somebody. And if that happens, I'm just say it was my weave. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. It was the weave. Okay.
So the next one is Love and Monsters.
Love and Monsters. Now, this is the one I can't wait to watch again. I want to watch this one again. It ranked right up there with Zombieland, kind of. Zombieland, I think, was funnier, but Love and Monsters was really good. I enjoyed it. It was fun. There was one guy carried the entire movie, kind of like Antebellum, but in a completely different way. But
Yeah.
The camera followed one person's perspective the entire film, and that was what they did with Antebellum as well. So when we say that she carried the movie, the camera followed her perspective the entire time. And it was good. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, you were really excited about this movie even before we watched it, and you were more excited about this one than any other. And I felt like you were anticipating this one like I was anticipating Escape Room. And then after we watched it, I got the impression that it lived up to the hype that was in your head, like Escape Room did for me. And I thought it was a very fun movie, fun to watch. I like the different monsters that they showed on the screen. I like the colors that just popped on the screen, because they did a lot of showing the environment that he was in, and I felt like I was there. And I always like when movies do that.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. And you mentioned Zombieland, and I think that's a great comparison, because through the whole movie, especially when they introduced the little girl and the guy she was with, Zombieland is the impression that I got.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I would love a whole movie of just the three of them.
That
and
little
maybe
girl was so
another
cute.
character, because she was cute. And then the actor that played on Walking Dead and
Guardians of the Galaxy.
He was really funny. And
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
And he did remind me of Woody Harrelson's character in Zombieland. So that's the type of movie and chemistry when he is on with other characters in the movie. That's the feel you get from this movie. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love the monsters. They had a very diverse cast of creatures that you're like, I can see them making a game in this world, surviving in this world, and you learn some stuff about these different monsters, and yeah, it's a scary world to live in, but it's also a beautiful world. They did a good job at making it look beautiful, but letting you know this is dangerous. This is not an environment conducive to soft, squishy people.
Did you get a feel like they would do a sequel? Because I didn't.
I did.
You did?
I did, but I'm not necessarily convinced that they should do it. In my opinion, I'm not convinced they should do a sequel with this character. I think they should be doing a sequel with a character who has somehow gotten a hold of maybe his guide, and
Oh, that'd be cute.
yeah, and they're finding their way out of their own environment to join up with what happened in the first movie. So I think it would be great, somebody who's listening over the radio and writing out all the instructions this guy's giving, and then them by themselves trying to follow his footsteps through a different set of ecologies, or what would they be called? In gaming, we refer to them as biomes.
Okay.
Through different biomes, like an arc kind of thing, where you get to see a different part of the world. It may not be very far, maybe like the East Coast, coming into Colorado, or from the north, just to give us like a different perspective, because this one was coming from California to Colorado, or from actually SoCal to a different part of California. But definitely would love to see, like they alluded to, the snow spiders. So it'd be good. I'm sorry, I got kind of carried away on that one. I was super excited about this film, and she let me talk too long on this one, because it's definitely one I'm going to review.
Oh, you are going to review?
Oh, we're definitely going to review.
Obviously, of course you're going to review. You really like this one. Yeah. So the last one we watched,
last but not
Spell.
least.
And the funny thing is, we started at about 10:30ish. Because yes, I'm going to dime you out, because I was up. I had already watched a movie that wasn't part of the marathon that I said I was going to watch, which was, do you remember? Parasite, yes. So waiting for you to wake up, because he decided he was going to sleep in. So then he got up, but I didn't give him too much of a hard time, because he did go get us lunch. So, I can't hate too much. But we ended up finishing the 8th movie at like 3 a.m. And then the next day we had to watch the last movie, which was Spell. So I was okay with that, because it just meant we watched all weekend horror movies. And we ended with an actual horror movie, which was Spell. And Spell, again, really didn't scare me. Maybe I should have watched at night with the lights all off. Maybe that might have made a difference. But I really liked the world, because it was him going back to where his father was from and where he grew up in Kentucky, and he was from Appalachia, which you really don't hear a lot, especially in movies about black people from the Appalachians, Appalachia, whatever, however it's called. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I'm like, come on, horror movies, this is more of the different worlds you need to give us. Show us some variety, because it's out there and it's interesting, and we want to see it. Now, I really loved Loretta Devine's character, because that woman can act. Because I know before watching the movie, I was concerned with being able to really believe her as a villain and as someone who's scary, because of all the different movies I've seen her in, and that sweet little innocent voice she had. But that damn woman,
she was scary.
Gosh, she was.
She was
pissing me off, because she was really doing some damage, and it just was so believable from this older woman.
She looks like she has such a beautiful soul, but she is being
and very
so
grandmotherly, but she was being so cruel, and it was very
with a
believable.
Smile.
Yeah. Because it's like you're thinking, there's not going to be a lot of physicality that she can give, because she's an older person, but she had to act it. She had to make you fear her just from giving that type of believable performance.
And when she said, I'm going to fix you, I'm going to fix you good, you felt it. So, all in all, these were awesome movies, and Spell was a great way to end it.
It was a great way to end it. There was some things that they could have worked on, but overall, I did enjoy the movie. I felt like in the beginning, because the characters didn't come off very charismatic for me. They were just very written in a way where he was trying to separate himself from his past. So he was being very bougie and raising his kids to be that way. And it didn't make me like him or his kids that much. So when bad things started to happen, at first, I really didn't care. But as the story moves on, and this damn woman was basically torturing him, not to give too much away, I started to feel more for the character. And I understood that that was just part of the story. That was part of his character development and the background of his character. So I did start to feel a little bit more for the characters, a little bit more empathy for the characters. But it was a good movie. Again, it's worth a watch.
Yep. And what was her name again? The actress who...
Loretta Devine.
Loretta Devine. She made this movie.
She did. She made the movie for me.
Without her, this movie wouldn't be half as good as it is. Her character alone made this thing worth watching at least once, and I'd watch it again.
Yeah, I think I would watch
it just to watch her performance
too.
again.
Yeah.
She was the closest thing to scaring me on the entire list.
Yeah, so that was our Halloween horror movie marathon. What did you guys do for Halloween? What movies did you watch? Did you watch any of these movies, and what did you think of them? Let us know in the comments. That was a lot of questions. You only really have to answer one.
Or all of them.
All of them.
You either answer one or all of them. You know, don't be in the middle somewhere.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's all from me.
That's all from me.
My name's William.
I'm Keena.
And we are the Nerdy Weds.
Until next time, stay nerdy.